President Barry Jagdeo has been conferred with the City of Athens Medal this morning by Athens Mayor Nikitas Kaklamanis.
National Disaster Coordinator Dr. Roger Luncheon has lashed out at Oxfam's recently published assessment of the flooding situation in Guyana.
And the opposition motion on live and unedited broadcasts of parliamentary proceedings on the National Communication Network has been turned down in the National Assembly.
The details of these and other stories, the Diamond Mineral Water and NCN Sport News and more in tonight's news. Good evening, I'm Natasha Smith.
And I'm Paul Moore.
With this edition of the 6 o'clock news for today, Friday, January 16, 2009. Here's what's happening.
Thanks, Natasha. President Barry Jagdeo has been conferred with the City of Athens Medal this morning by Athens Mayor Nikitas Kaklamanis. The medal, according to the Athens News Agency, was a token of respect and friendship to him personally and to the Guyanese nation. Edward Lane reports.
Mayor Nikitas Kaklamanis and Athens City Council Chairman Theodoros Bekrakis received President Jagdeo at City Hall, where they held a meeting on matters of mutual interest. Following the discussion, where a number of key issues were discussed, including trade and investment, the mayor bestowed upon the Guyanese leader the highest award of the ancient city. President Jagdeo expressed his appreciation and has explained that Guyana and Greece has always shared a cordial relation and noted that his visit is aimed at further strengthening that relation. The president also met with investors, bankers and shippers in that country in an effort to secure export markets for Guyanese produce. Meanwhile, last evening Mr. Jagdeo and delegation attended a dinner hosted by Greek President Kyrios Papoulias. In his address, President Papoulias said that the visit will further strengthen friendly relations between the two countries. Meanwhile, President Jagdeo said within the European Union, the small countries are the ones that understand the challenges developing countries like Guyana and others in the Caribbean face. Following the dinner, the two leaders held discussions on bilateral relations between Guyana and Greece. President Papoulias has indicated his government's willingness to assist Guyana and for the two countries to collaborate. The Greek leader also noted that there will be follow-up discussions on issues of trade and has shown some sign of his country's intentions to buy agricultural and other produce from Guyana. The Guyanese delegation will also meet with Prime Minister Kostas Karamanlis, after which they will travel to Qatar for the final leg of the visit, which wraps up on January 20. The Guyanese delegation began their tri-nation tour on January 12 last and has already met with officials in Libya. Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
National Disaster Coordinator Dr. Roger Luncheon has lashed out at Oxfam's recently published assessment of the flooding situation in Guyana. He believes the report is grossly inaccurate and seeks to undermine the efforts of the Civil Defense Commission. Over the past few weeks, Dr. Luncheon says state and non-governmental agencies have consulted and planned activities to share information and conduct ground assessments. While Oxfam did meet with related parties at the National Emergency Operating Center, he says it deliberately failed to advise participants of the report and its intended use. The disaster coordinator believes that Oxfam's motive is now questionable since it remains in possession of information which conflicts with aspects of its assessment. Agriculture Minister Robert Prasad says sound macroeconomic policies and continuous support to farmers have enabled Guyana's agricultural sector to overcome the global financial challenges of 2008. He notes that many of the initiatives which were launched to enhance and develop the sector will be accelerated during this year. More from Shardalal.
Agriculture Minister Robert Prasad says there was significant growth in all subsectors over the past year, with the exception of sugar, which government is working to address. Although resources were limited, Minister Prasad says efforts continued to enhance drainage capacity and boost flood prevention and control measures. However, he notes that there is still much more work to be done to meet the drainage needs and adapt to climate change. Minister Prasad says the Grow More Food campaign, which was launched in the advent of the global food crisis, has recorded significant successes. He says this will be extended during the year to farmers who have been affected by the floods.
This initiative saw a marked increase in crops and livestock production, which not only assured our domestic food security, but ensured adequate supplies were available for an increasing market. The non-traditional crops sector recorded increase in exports, and we were able to introduce several new crops to the overseas market, both the traditional market and the new market.
For the first time in history, rice production figures also managed to surpass projections, amounting to some 330,000 tons and generating $118 million in revenue.
We successfully completed negotiations of a project to be funded by the Spanish government, which is close to $700,000 that will see the establishment of rice cultivation in 9 Amerindian communities: Muckamucka, St. Ignatius, Ashalton.
Meanwhile, in the forestry sector, there was a decrease in log exports, while exports on processed lumber increased due to government's push for more value-added activities and sustainable management practices. Minister Prasad believes that 2008 has set the foundation for continued growth in food production and exports and has pledged that these initiatives will be accelerated this year. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, I'm Shardalal.